Hello there. You are listening to Paranormal Experience Radio, and we are into our final segment with just this wonderful guest. I'm so excited, Willie, that you are here, that you've been here, and I appreciate that because I know that time is valuable and 2 hours is a long interview, and my listeners have just enjoyed you so much. The whole experience is terrific because, we have a really, in my opinion, we have a nice friendship.
Yeah.
We are friends and compadres, and I learn from you all the time. It's just awesome. So, what would you think would be the most important thing to tell someone who was seeking a shaman to train them? What should they look for?
Well, if you seeking a true shaman, make sure you have to go by your gut feeling. You will know a true shaman when you get into their presence. You can tell by their energy. You can if you talk to them and they tell you what they're going to do and how they're going to train you, and it's going to take time, and they want you to do this and this and this. Yeah, if they want to work with you slowly, that's fine. But you cannot go and learn what I've learned in just a few courses. I mean, you have to. It takes years to develop your own sort of spiritual awareness and knowing and things like that. You have to make sure this. If a shaman takes you, says, "There's my degree on the wall that I went to school and become a shaman," you find the door and you leave because
Yes.
there's no such thing. If I went to shaman you, no.
I've never even heard of classes in shamanism, to be quite honest.
Well, a shaman will take you under their wing, and they'll teach you, and they'll teach you, and if you don't get it, they'll stay with you. I'm like that. If I'm teaching you like how to do like a soul retrieval, okay? And I work with you and work with you and work with you, and you don't get it, and you don't get it, and you don't get it. And finally, after a year, you get it. Then we move on to the next thing. I will not teach anybody unless they get everything that I've taught them. I don't rush it because they're going to go out and they're going to take on something that they better know how to deal with it. If they take on a diabolical, they better know how to deal with it. If they run into somebody that's got a mental situation going on, they better know how to deal with it. And I will not send anybody out that can't deal with this stuff. If a person wants to rush you through a course, then they're not the real thing. A real shaman will sit down and take their time with you and fellowship with you, and you become really that shaman's part of that shaman's family. And you're a part of them when they send you out because they know that you're going to do the right thing, and you're going to do if you're going to be a shaman, that you're going to be the right thing.
How do you know that someone is a person that you want to mentor?
You just get to know them personally, and you get to know if they're serious about what that they want to be mentored for. A lot of people come to me for some training, and it's not exactly to be a full-blown shaman, but they want to know how to do stuff correctly. Take, for instance, saging, okay? A lot of people do it wrong, but I'll teach a person how to do it right. When I sage, I smoke up a place. I cover every inch of the place. I cover every corner, every mirror, every closet,
You have
floor.
to.
But a lot of people will go in and light a piece of sage and just, flicker it around and, like back and forth and oh my God, if they start splashing holy water around, you're really asking for problems because there's certain situations you've got to do. You've got to do a clearing before you do a blessing.
Yes.
People don't know that. Before you do a blessing, you have to do the clearing. A lot of people say, well, I go in, as we're going along, I'm this one's doing the saging, and the other one's doing the splicing of the whole world. No wonder they walk into problems. You know, you got to do this methodically. You got to take every inch of the place and do it right. And I'll make it look like London when I go in there. I'll smoke a place up.
I do that too, but I have done it incorrectly and blessed everything before I ran them out. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I had to find an alternate exit. I did, but I had to find it.
When I drive up to a place, I'll walk the grounds before I'll go inside the place because I want to know what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
I can tell by the ground what I'm dealing with. If I'm dealing with a place that I know it's got a demon in there, the ground will tell me before I get there. Nothing grows. Everything's dead. No flowers, no grass. I walk around. The smell will get you. Look at the trees. Does the trees, is there any birds around? Is there any wildlife around? If the place looks totally dead, before I get in there, I know what I'm dealing with, because the ground, I've got dead ground outside, so I have to deal with that ground too. People don't know that ground can be possessed too, and I've got to deal with that first before I go on the inside.
That's interesting because I've not contemplated that aspect.
Yeah, the ground to a place that's got a demon in it can be possessed too, as well.
Would you follow similar procedures to exorcise the ground?
Yeah, I do. But I could use crystals. I can use medallions. I could use different herbs. I can use sage. I can use salt. I can use tobacco. It depends on what I'm dealing with. But if I'm dealing with something really, really, and I had to pull out the Christian part of it, then I'll do the blessing and the medallions and all that on all four corners of the property, and then I'll work my way from the outside in.
What happens when you get to the center?
I have a certain thing that I put in the center. If I'm dealing with the ground, and then I do that, I work my way inside. That way, when whatever it is that I expel from the property, it goes out there. It won't stay there. I mean, it's gone, because usually people don't realize if you run a spirit out of a place, they could just hang around outside until everything dies down. They'll come back if you don't do it right.
Yes.
But if they run from the house into a holy spot that you've already done, then the only alternative they've got to go. They're completely gone. They can hang around. I mean, and that's why I tell people, particularly watch your animals too, because they can go into an animal and hang around there until everything's done. I went into a situation where I had 3 dogs that when I walked in there, they were on me, and I had to deal with them before I even started with the person that I had to deal with.
Right.
So when you walk into a situation, make sure you if the people got animals, you take care of them too. You do you clear them and do the blessing too, because they can be possessed as well. Even birds. You wouldn't believe it. Birds can be possessed.
That is odd.
Yes.
And I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they can be possessed. I mean, an object, they can go into an object, say you've got a really nice statue of something, and that entity knows that you love that object, they'll go into that object and stay there until things die down. You got it. That's why I smoke the whole place up. That covers everything.
Yes.
The objects. I do the animals. I even do if they got fish, I'll even go over the fish tank. Everything. You got to get everything.
I just hadn't thought of covering every living being.
Yeah. Mhm. Because it could be mirrors. People won't.
I have experienced it with mirrors.
Yeah. I have, when I do a clearing, after I do the clearing, when I do my blessing, I'll go over the mirrors.
Yes.
And I'll close off those portals. People, you listen to me out there, they can go into mirrors.
Well, and they can come back into the home through those mirrors.
Yeah, I have done. When I did a case one time, I walked through the house. I knew the entity went into the mirror. I turned the mirror around till I was ready to do the clearing. I went on ahead and did the clearing and the entire house. Then, when everything was smoked up, I flipped that mirror around, and I went on ahead and I started with the mirror when I started doing my blessing.
Right.
And I blocked that portal off in all the mirrors.
That was brilliant because I walked into a client home and you could just feel the wind coming into the home from the mirror. There wasn't any reason for there to have been wind coming. I mean, we checked the walls, we checked everything. There was no reason for there to have been anything coming off that mirror, and it was really disconcerting. We had to go back. That was a very difficult case. We had to go back with a shaman and get that taken care of. There had been an Indian massacre on the property and near the property that was due entirely to a miscommunication. The people that came through did not realize that a surrender had already been signed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the only people in the village were the elderly and the women and children, and they all died. So it's very disturbed land.
I've dealt with that, and I've also dealt with Civil War soldiers,
mm-hmm.
A few times. And I did a case where a woman had 100 haunted dolls that she would collect. She collected 100 haunted dolls. This was the same case that the woman was almost possessed, and the house was messed up, and the dogs. Yeah, and I had to deal with that, and I found out she was drinking blood, and all that had to be dealt with. So, anything can be possessed, really.
Well, those choices, though, make it worse, don't they?
Yeah. And, pictures can be possessed.
That I knew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we only have about 2 minutes left, Willie. And I know that one of the people in chat has sent you a friend request. And can you let people know how they can get in touch with you?
I'm on Facebook, Willie Gibson. They can Google me, Willie Windwalker Gibson. My books are on Amazon, The Shaman Windwalker and The Soul Warriors. I write for the Underground Paranormal magazine. I do a story a month in there. I've got so many stories. I'm going to take those stories one day and make one full book out of them. So I've got a book of that coming soon too.
Well, I know that I am so fortunate that we met 2 years ago. And it seems like every time we meet, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And you're just so nice and you're so kind. And I'm so glad you're my friend.
Well, I'm glad you're my friend, too. I guess I'll be seeing you again soon online. And if you want me to come back on, we've just scraped the surface. I mean, I've got hundreds of stories that I've gone through. We can go through, and other subjects too. I've dealt with everything from ETs to demons. You name it, I've done it.
Well, we will do that, and we will do that soon. I am booked into late March, but we will definitely write something down tomorrow so that we have it scheduled again. I thank you. And tell Shaman I said hi. And thanks for letting me take you for 2 hours this evening.
She's sitting right here.
Hey, Shaman.
Hi.
So
nice to talk to you.
It's nice to talk to you, too. We should have brought you in. I didn't realize you were sitting right there. Although I should have known.
That. Hey, he's got so much to tell you and so much to teach you.